Alrighty, let's go ahead and, since Steve is so gracious to be here tonight, let's go ahead and start with fire. We'll just cut everything, make it easy. Did everybody get copied on the letter from Chief Curran?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I also printed them for everybody.
Okay, thank you. He wanted to be here tonight, but he's in North Carolina for work, and he's got a real life, so. Has everyone had a chance to review the fire budget, and what questions or concerns do we have? I mean, we can, if you want, we can just start going down each category. I'm sure the one that's gonna catch everybody's attention is, well, the first one I'd like to talk about is the fire marshal, which is 124. Well, go up to 123. Chief did not ask for a raise this year. But they're wanting to add a fire marshal. Steve, can you shed some light on the duties and the reasoning behind that?
So a fire marshal, what he does is essentially, he will go out and inspect any commercial business, daycares, in-home daycares, standalone daycares, adult centers, businesses, restaurants, pretty much anything that you go spend your money in. He has control over, would inspect it, Dollar General, look for, and he's not going to nitpick, he's going to make mistakes. So he's going in to look for fire code violations, electrical problems, emergency signs, make sure they have their fire extinguishers that are in date and within so many feet of each other. They also can work with Bob on the fire side of it, so when we do build buildings or we build houses, he can be a go-to for the residential or for the commercial, and he'll know all the fire codes and building codes of every commercial building and the fire systems and all that stuff. And if we hire the right one, he might also be the fire inspector or the fire investigator on a fire team when they have a fire. That's not part of the job title, but we would like him to have it.
What have we been doing?
Right now, we rely on Captain Kephart from Whiteland. I've been doing it. I'm not certified to do it, so I run everything through Captain Kephart. Everything he's dealt with Vitas for me. I've been involved with him, but if I have a question, they call me, and then I call him, and it's a big chain of events.
Okay.
So, and he is not receiving, I don't believe he's receiving a dime from us, and he does a lot for us.
Okay. I do see a need for this because it is something we should be doing ourselves. Again, it just gives us a little control over the standards, if nothing else. Not anything against Chief Kephart whatsoever, but if it's not necessarily his responsibility, he's going to do what he can.
He'll catch the things like what happened with him, way before things happened.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
And it does help with ISO.
right. With this being new, I'll just be honest with you. I think as a jumping off point, I think $700 a month's a little steep, considering that whoever's doing it now is doing it for free.
Right. But it's also 6 months of schooling that you have to go through. The way we looked at it, so you're gonna have to put in at least 20 to 30 hours a week, because each inspection, the actual physical inspection only takes you maybe an hour and a half, depending on the size of the building, depending on what's wrong with it. The paperwork, on the other hand, will take you 3 hours, because you have to document everything, and then you have to go back and follow up, and then you have to go back and follow up on that follow-up until everything's rectified.
So you really anticipate that much time?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. I had no clue.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
a dollar and cents question. What would motivate somebody to be willing to do 20 or 30 hours a week for 700
What
bucks a
we're
month?
looking for is a retired guy, an old retired fireman.
What do you
Kinda
consider
have a
old?
couple in mind. But yeah, I know Kephart, he has spent probably 100 hours at VITA,
Has he really?
and that's per building.
And he's in this role you're proposing for Whiteland? Is he a full-time or what?
He is their full-time fire marshal.
So I mean, it's a 40-hour-a-week gig for him?
Well, he also has his normal full-time job, but he does the fire marshal every day with them too. So he gets off at like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then he goes and he'll work another like 4 or 5 hours a day doing their fire marshal stuff.
Okay. Other questions about that particular line? And is it that hard? Other thoughts? I mean,
Well,
I had-
maybe higher level. John Tarrant and I met with Dave last week. And the idea behind, I mean, it's a significant budget increase. It's significant. And the idea behind it is a couple things. One is the budget really hasn't changed much in the last decade or so. Town has grown some. The town's poised to grow a lot. There's been a lot more runs. How many runs would you say you're doing to Vita right now?
Just this month, I think we've done probably close to 10, and it's the 11th day of the month.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And that's gonna ramp up.
We did four, I think 4 there.
Right, and they have just now opened the second building. It's just now beginning to be
Yeah, they only
populated.
had, I think last count, they had 15 people in the south building. The second floor is full. There's a few people on the third floor, and memory care is half full, or a quarter full.
Yeah.
They're wanting to be at 100% by the end of this year
Yeah.
in both buildings.
The idea is there's gonna be a lot more need, there's gonna be a lot more runs, you know, they're asking for equipment, they're asking for training, a lot of things. You know, the 8,400 seems small compared to the paid standby,
Right.
but the gist, and I'm sure I'll get this wrong, but you can correct me. Right now, we've got paid standby, 3 of them for 8 hours a day, so we've basically got 24 hours, but it takes 3 to run the truck.
It takes 3 to run, to get an engine out, and we staff during the day because that's our
Right.
hardest time to get the engine out the door.
Right.
Personally, we have some volunteers at night, but not enough. So we're wanting to get the staffing all the time, at
So
least
right-
1 or 2.
So right now, they've got 3 at 8 hours a day. They want to go to 3 at 12 hours a day plus 1 for 8 hours.
Right,
So they want to go from 24 hours a week to 44 hours a week total.
right.
But that would give you 12 hours a day where you
Right.
potentially could run, you could
Because the
drive
the
the,
way we want to do it is 2 dedicated 12 hours daytime, plus that 8-hour guy during the day. So that way the engine will get out the door, and then the 1 guy at night, because most of our runs are EMS runs at night, plus me and Dave come in on at night, so that we get the engine out the door. So we have volunteers more at night. So that's why we're trying to split up and at least get 1 at night all the time.
so that would allow you 24 hours a
24
day to
hour
get the truck out? Well, not coverage, but I mean, to get the truck out?
It would get us the truck out all the time.
well,
And we would not miss any runs at that point. Right now, we're missing on average, maybe 2 runs, 3 runs a month that we just don't have staffing to go on.
and that's just so everyone's aware, that's gonna be difficult anyway. We
Right.
were talking the other night about one, and well, when we were with Dave, we were sitting back here, his phone went off and he says, "Sorry guys, I gotta go."
Yep.
And he bolted out, and it wasn't 15 minutes later, the tones went again.
Yep.
So, you know, you gotta hope the volunteers are there, because when you're already on something, we're either gonna miss it or we have to rely on paid standby.
We did 11 runs 5 days, 6 days ago, 11 runs.
Yeah,
That's a busy day for a full-time department.
yeah.
And the problem too with us missing runs is Whiteland will take them, and then they miss their own run,
Right,
and then Franklin has to come take their run, and then that district gets a run.
Yeah.
So another engine has to, it just keeps domino.
yeah. I mean, our paid standby is working, or not paid standby, but our mutual aid is working well because everybody just jumps in.
Right.
And I've said what color the truck is or what the name is on the side if I need it. I just want somebody to show up.
Right.
You clarified something for me, and I'm glad you did, because I was thinking wrong. I was thinking you wanted the 3 12 hours days and 8-hour night. Doing 2 and 1 and then 1
And then 1
makes
at night.
huge sense.
Yes.
So, okay. That's a huge jump, guys, but
But so to clarify, I didn't understand this from talking to Dave. That means 24 hours a day if there's a call that needs the
So
engine.
like right now, if there's an EMS run, we don't have anybody. I'm it. There's nobody on duty. I mean, technically, I'm on duty
Because the
if
8 hours.
we don't
is
have the
on.
staffing during the day, then we spread it out during the night. But not every night we have somebody working like what we would have.
So this would allow you 24 hours a day, if there's a call that needed the engine, you can take the engine out.
Yes.
Okay.
Because during the day, it's hard I mean, I work a full-time job, Dave works a full-time job.
Right.
Everybody works a full-time job, except the guys who work during the day, who are full-time firemen somewhere, so they work there on their off day. And then when the guys who have a full-time job get off, and we fill in the gap at night, and those guys typically don't respond.
Do you feel like
unless it's something good.
you've got enough people that you could fill all these spots?
Yep.
You could keep it manned?
Yes. And we do 2 hiring processes a year, we only hire about 5 at a time.
What's the paid standby hourly rate?
16,
$16.
which is kind of close to everybody between that 16 range. For part-time.
We've got to the point that we can't hire anybody for less than 18. So we're hiring bank tellers at $18, and we're having a hard time finding them anyway.
Yeah.
And I realize this is different.
And let alone having somebody who's certified to be able to do
Right.
that. Because if they're not certified, they can't do it. They can't go in, they can't touch a patient, they can't do anything.
And just to be clear, so that everybody's aware, when paid standby, they're not just sitting there watching TV waiting for something to happen. If there's stuff that needs to be done, that's when the stuff around the station gets done, the cleaning,
The
all that, yeah.
Month of this month and next month of it to do.
Yeah.
And before we couldn't do it because, the month of October is our pension month. We've never been able to do it because we don't have an on-duty crew most of the time. This year, we actually have an on-duty crew to do it.
Okay.
So,
Now, last year, did we increase the number of hours, or did we just increase the pay rate? I know we did.
hours.
Last year, we
Yes.
increased hours? Okay.
Because we went from 2 to 3
Right.
staffing.
We added a person.
But did we change the hourly rate last year? Okay.
That's all we did. We did the year before. I think we went from 14 to 16.
Yes, yeah.
And then last year we added another person. So,
We got pub ed detail tomorrow night that I'm doing. Ripley Elementary.
What's pub ed? Oh, public education? Okay, I'm done. You got to fill in the blanks.
yeah, no more letters. Now,
I didn't know what it meant either, so.
yeah,
Well, you're the public. You just got educated.
There you go.
It works.
there was something in here where something was coded wrong or something. 16,000.
Oh, that was the,
Machinery and equipment
Thank you.
needed to go to other supplies because, the types of things that they're wanting to purchase with that money
Right.
belongs more in the
Right.
200 series.
Okay, so that's why down at the bottom the minus 10,000.
yes.
Well,
Okay.
but I think Dave said the minus 10 was supposed to be minus 16. It's supposed to be. It's supposed to
Yeah, it's
balance.
supposed to
Okay.
be mine,
Yeah.
16.
Okay.
Well,
So-
see, we just
Because we weren't allowed to spend any of that money unless it was for a vehicle.
right.
So line 249, the 16,000 is right. Line 443,
43.
the negative 10 should be negative 16.
Got it.
So how much are you asking for
It should be,
in line 443?
it should be the 16, I think that's what Dave said.
Yeah, that should be a negative 16,000.
Yes.
Right. So the new ask is
So they want
6,000.
4,000.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah,
4,000.
under four, column 3.
Yes.
4,000, and then it would be a negative 16,000 in the far
Yes.
right column.
Yeah. Okay.
Can the 4,000 handle the machinery and equipment? That
The-
seems real
The stuff that
low.
you're allowed to buy out of that account is,
So limited.
yes. Like if it's literally not a machine or has tires, you really can't buy anything out of it. Like, we tried to buy gear out of it, can't buy gear out of it. And it's literally machines.
So that was on the transfer we did at the last meeting,
Right.
so that we could just move the money into the line that they needed.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
Um,
Thank you.
Most everything, I mean, your contractual services went up, but I think you explained at the last meeting I know Dave explained to us what the software was. Do you guys know what this ESO software is?
No.
Yeah, well, it was explained at the last.
I don't think. Dennis-
Oh, yeah, you weren't here.
I wasn't here.
Okay.
So the ESO reporting system, it is a county-based, not really county-based, everybody in the county uses it, whether you're fire or EMS. So if we go on a run, we take a laptop in or we take a tablet in, we get all your demographics, whatever. He shows up on the ambulance, I go, oh, your code's da-da-da-da-da. He types in his code, pops it all in. So when we go on you in a month, we type in your last name, your SOCH, and your date of birth, pulls up all your demographics. So if you're dead or you're unconscious, something like that.
Yeah.
It's so much more user-friendly. The program we use now is free for a reason.
Yeah.
And half of it is actually getting Ixnay and out of, they're taking it away from us, which is the most important part, the fire side of it. So this, we can do fire runs, we can do EMS reports, we can do all that stuff.
Okay.
Tell me about the truck. You're wanting a truck too, right?
Yeah, well, it's gonna be like a utility purpose truck for the fire marshal, it'll be another officer vehicle, it'll be a backup to the support. So when we do get multiple calls, we have multiple options, because not everybody's, you have to be an engineer driving engine, you have to have certain certifications. On an SUV, you don't have to have those certifications, so it opens up more, people can come in, grab it and go.
In the market, can you get one in and out for $50,000?
For how much?
I'm seeing $50,000.
Brand new, that's a push.
Because you're talking about 454.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Brand new, it would be you could probably get the vehicle, but not the lighting package. I think what Dave was wanting to do was get something newer used.
Yeah.
Like
That was the
newest-
last conversation we
yeah,
had.
Like the newest we can get that's used and fits in our budget.
Yeah.
I think that's the route he's going.
Oh, okay,
Like
so,
another Durango,
but he's counting 50 in and out.
in and out.
Got it.
So we're wanting like another Durango like what we just got.
I wonder if maybe that could be pulled out or deferred the next year. We'd even talked, I think, last week that does the town have a pickup truck that's not quite surplus, but maybe available?
So we have a spare pickup truck that is utilized when, you know, some of our pickup trucks go
Something
to
breaks.
mowing trailers or the leaf machine or, you know, whatever it may be. It's got some work damage to it, so I don't know if that's something that's doable for all that, but to answer your question, yes, we have a Dodge 1500 down there, regular cab, long bed, that if need be, we can go that direction.
Personally, because of the size of the total increase,
Right.
personally, I'd rather see us do that or maybe defer that truck, maybe live with the vehicles you have now until
Right.
next year.
Yeah.
Or 26, I guess.
Yeah. Depending on who we hired to be the fire marshal,
Right. Because right now. those
it's
vehicles-
close. I mean,
Right.
everything is right here.
Right, but we also
and
don't want them using their own gas, their own car.
Yeah.
Their car, because they're gonna have some equipment with them all the time.
Right.
Obviously, we're still gonna have the old support, so they can still use it. We're trying to keep it and nurse it along, so we can have 3 staff cars. That way, we always have one.
So I think on a grand scale, I don't know how anybody else feels, on a grand scale, I think I support the direction. But again, it's such a significant increase, if we can pull that out to, control it a little bit or pull it back a little bit, defer that piece to a later period, then particularly if we've got a vehicle that maybe we can use.
is that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Right.
Is that just a single cab, Dwayne?
Yeah.
So that you're limited to 2 people?
Yeah.
If that needs to go.
But if something breaks down or something like that, you don't have any other vehicles.
We have like the 550, so, 550, we've got a 450, things like that, that can be, we can maneuver things on a route, if need be, but.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You don't have to have 3 to roll that truck because it's administrative.
No, not that one.
No,
Not people wise.
That's why I said if it's got 2 and it's being used in lieu of
Fire marshal sort of
for
thing.
Yeah.
for some days or whatever, I think that's different
Yeah, no, my only thought was if we needed to move more personnel for a reason. And if there would be room, you know, if you've only got a single cab, that means you've got no room for any gear whatsoever otherwise, other than in the bed. That'd be the only issue. Go ahead, Matt.
So, I know we haven't got to utilities. I've got money that I have budgeted for a new vehicle in utilities that we
Now?
can work around, yeah, in this thing. You guys haven't approved anything yet, obviously, but I know that sometimes utilities, it's a little easier to get money that way than it is from, general fund. We can always do something where, like, we've got the silver Chevys that are, extended cabs and things like that. I don't know if it's something you guys would be interested in looking at, and instead of basically trading in something. Originally, we were probably gonna look at trading in the Dodge 1500 that sits there, but we could always look at doing something like that. I'm just throwing that idea out there.
And what that would do is cut the $50,000 out of the general fund budget like you guys are talking about. Gets them a newer vehicle. Utilities purchases another vehicle with those funds that is.
Because that's
easier to fund.
separate in the budget.
Yeah, it's not general fund money.
It's not general fund money,
Yeah.
but
You don't have to raise your hand, just
I
yell.
just-
Well, I don't wanna interrupt, but if we do use one of the utility vehicles for that purpose, they will still need some funds in there for the outfitting, right?
Right.
Like
Mhm.
around 15,000,
Right.
so.
To be honest with you, my opinion, I don't think it would need to be as tricked out as what Dave's
No, it
is.
wouldn't be.
You know, a light bar and,
Right.
you know, wigwags, a few things like that would suffice for what that's gonna be used for, I think, my opinion.
Right.
Would it need
But,
to
and
be
also, I
painted
mean,
red?
things have gotten pretty expensive right now.
Yeah.
Would it
Would
need
you
to be
have
painted red?
wheels on it too?
Oh, yeah.
Wheels on it too? Wigwags and wheels? Okay.
That's it, I'm voting no.
Okay, before we jump off the bridge, okay, I appreciate maybe doing that. Is there anything left over this year that before we get through the end of the year, we're down to 3 months left? Do we have anything available now that we could
Well,
kind of expedite this a little and then be able to cut?
I was gonna mention, this was a thought that came to my mind, because this year we got 2 police cars and the radios out of the CCD. So what we could do is next year plan to get their fire vehicle out of CCD. We put like 100,000 in that this year.
Just personally, I'd kind of like to leave that alone because I don't know that we're that far away from needing to replace which engine was just in the shop. Yeah,
And it's dead again.
yeah. So if we can leave that, I would just think if there's something left over that we could find a used vehicle or something now rather than, you know, push it back. And I agree with you. If we got to cut something, that's.
See, I'm gonna go back and say maybe we just defer that to the next year. I mean, again, simply because
Yeah.
it's not quite a double in the budget, but it's pretty close.
Well, let's do this. Let's take it out. Take the whole 50,000 out. We can address at a later time how we're going to do that vehicle because I mean, it's probably going to be first of the year before you're going to hire anybody for that anyway.
Right.
So that gives us an opportunity to kind of go through some stuff. That accomplishes what you're trying to do, and I agree with it. And we good with that?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything else in the fire budget that anybody sees? And Angela, are you making notes of these? I'm sure you are.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Because well, I know you'll want to go through and make adjustments. I mean, this is still a huge jump. Percentage-wise, it's probably going to be 65 or 70%.
I wanted to note on Dave's email, he said about the 192, that would be the social security. Missy and I went over with everyone that's receiving stipends the fire chief, fire marshal, paid standby, all of those. We calculated that social security number that you see there based off of council approving all of that.
Okay,
So that's already a pretty solid number.
so that's a legit number, that's not a guess, okay.
Yeah, he had left it 0 because he knew that we needed to put that
I
in
didn't figure
there.
that. What was your dollar amount you figured?
For social security, 22,000,
Okay.
which is a 120% increase rate. 120% increase.
Oh, yeah, the paid standby is gonna make that jump a lot.
Right.
Okay. And most everything, all the other officers pretty much stayed the same. Like I said, Dave didn't put in for anything for himself this year. So, anything else anybody sees in there? We good? Okay. Angela, you good? You got everything?
Yes, there was 2 changes. We changed the machinery and equipment to 4,000 instead of 10, and we took the vehicle out.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
John.
Go ahead.
One of the things, and it's been said a couple of times, just because Chief didn't put something in for himself, is that something that we should consider?
I was wondering about that.
We can. We absolutely
I didn't say
can.
anything, but I was wondering the same thing.
Even if it's minuscule,
He's doing a heck of a lot of work.
yeah, and my thing is if we just cut $50,000 right there with that, I'm not saying it gets a $50,000 raise, but I mean, certainly there.
And for all the officers to get,
He,
it's like 60 months extra a year.
What's his compensation now?
15.5.
Do you have a number in mind, Mr. Shalowski? Dr. Shalowski?
Yes, doctor.
Gotta get that right. Don't want to offend him.
Who's the assistant chief now?
We technically don't have one. I'm the next one. I'm a division chief.
Okay.
$500,000. I mean, it's more about the concept of I don't like 0.
Right. And he does put in about 400 hours a month on average.
Did you say 400?
Just that? Well, I'm taking it back then.
No, I mean, that's like.
I know, I'm kidding. Oh
Yeah,
my
that's on
God.
a low end.
Slacker.
Him and I are usually neck and neck around 450, almost 500 hours.
I'm expecting 8, maybe 9.
We have full-time
$100
jobs
a
too.
week.
Huh? No, a month.
$400 a month?
Mhm,
That's
roughly.
100 a week.
Wow. Okay, so which one of these categories are you under?
I think he still has me under a captain. I
Okay.
think he's raised it up to the chief yet.
Yeah, he did raise that up.
120.
Yeah. Let's take that one under advisement. 'Cause
Yeah, I would just
agree.
like to
Yeah.
see something. I
Yeah.
don't like 0.
Yeah.
Well,
Except for if it was with Dwayne and Matt. Then I can stomach 0.
our next meeting, we're adopting this, so it would be kind of nice. We're gonna increase it. To
What?
know what we're gonna
17.
increase it to.
I expect I'll
Whatever you
have
give him, he'll
questions.
be pleasantly surprised because he's not expecting one.
I expect I'll have more questions between now and next meeting.
Yeah.
Just so I don't know that we'll be
17.
done tonight.
17?
So he's at 15.5 now.
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking 17.5.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm good with it. Couldn't really tell you what is or what's not.
Okay. We happy with it?
17.5?
If everybody's happy with that, I'm happy.
Okay.
So we're doing 17.5?
Yeah. Oh, okay. I need to learn to read better. Never mind.
Or do you just need to put it away?
Oh no, I have glasses. No.
Switching categories. I gotta take a break real quick.
Okay. All right. Anything else for Assistant Chief? Soon to be?
This is gonna be trivial, but the fuel, we've already used, in 6 months, we've used 63%. I know there's an additional $1,000 allocated, but, or requested. But I guess the question is that, well, mathematically, 6,000, if fuel costs stay stable, we should be all right.
Yeah. Yeah, because we're, big if.
We're right there.
Yeah,
Are we still getting it down there?
okay. Anything else? John? Chad? Okay. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. Okay, who's next? No one. We have a break for
I think
30
it's
minutes.
Matt next.
I don't think I have it on me.
Okay. Just check.
I know.
Oh, you guys are joking.
We're messing.
Oh,
Oh, wait, we're on TV. We shouldn't.
I know.
Let's not joke. We're on television.
So like a reality TV, we can call it The Council.
Yes.
Yeah.
At least we get to vote people off, right?
Yes, but there's like Salvation Island or something like that
Yeah.
that we get to go to.
I'm
And
not gonna tell you where it is.
Yeah. Who was the last person elected? Did you run last year?
He was.
we got elected at the same time.
I don't.
Yeah.
There's
We had,
anybody that was elected. Dwayne told me this today. Anybody that was elected after November 25th last year.
After November 5th, 2023, starting January 1.
Yeah.
is a requirement for training.
Yeah, you have to go through because I think you went through.
what training?
Well, no. So the way I understand that, that's a different training. So that's, when were you elected?
I think I'm finishing my second year.
Okay.
I think.
Don't
So he'd be
take
good.
my word for it, but I don't think I think you're good.
What
Yeah.
training is it?
There's an Indiana code that it doesn't specify. It just says there's
So-
council.
I'll send it out in an email. You guys can take a look at it. But yes, it is an Indiana code that went into effect January 1st, 2024. Within your first year, you have 14 hours of training that has to be met, and within 3 years, you have 36 hours of training that has to be met. But
And am I right? Did we come on at the same time?
Yeah.
For the new one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
Well, I was gonna ask, is that re-elected or just
I don't think
elected
it's
period?
specified. That's what we're trying to find out.
Because I was gonna say, we were up, Chad and I were up this last election cycle.
right.
That was, to 23.
Yeah,
That wasn't this year?
No.
Really?
I think, yeah, it was this year.
Yeah, I
No
think,
one's up this year.
right. So it may not affect any of it. Won't affect
No,
any
it
of
was
us.
23.
If you say so.
That was in Cincinnati when you called me.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Yeah, or somewhere.
Let's move to the PD.
I want to point out real quick on the town marshal salary, it looks like it's gone down, but I don't know why. It says for 2024 that it's 78,381 because it was 75,380.
Did you do that? Or
It might be an error in my entry.
I don't remember, I don't think so.
So,
I remember, I wasn't gonna take a race to get the gas prices.
well, I know you put in
I
a
think you said something, that no, we're gonna give you a little something.
yeah. We gave you a little something. Yeah, that we can't do that.
It is.
so the deputy marshal, I'm just looking at the big chunky increases. The deputy marshals went up 51,789. That's in the salary spreadsheet, right?
That's what I'm looking for.
Looking at line,
there's a.
132.
We'll have to break down.
right, so that money's in that spreadsheet, correct? Okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood that
Do
wasn't
we have that?
the salary
Yes,
spreadsheet?
it's in the packet with the blue, thing, and I have an extra copy if anyone.
Yeah, because I gave mine away last week, if you don't mind. I did.
What a nice guy.
I know, it's true. Thanks for noticing.
Here it is.
Where is it? Towards the back or the front?
It was about halfway, there you go, right there.
So that $57,000 is the raises that we're seeing on this spreadsheet.
Yes.
I don't know where that figure's coming from.
Oh, on the police department budget, do you have a copy of what we have in front of us? Okay.
Are you talking salary at 59 something?
Right, yeah, right now we are.
Deputy marshal's total last year was 519,000, that's going to 570,000. So that's the salary increases across the board, right? Or is it, I just want to understand, is that separate from the salary increases we see here?
No, the way that the spreadsheet is set out, it's a total, it says deputies, the way that I understand it. It's 519,000 for everyone.
Right.
The whole department, all 9 officers.
Yeah.
And that's gone to 570 in the new budget. This is,
Following
No,
this,
no,
because look how dark that it's
oh,
the numbers.
well, that's not even, yeah, that's not
He's-
even what we
he's
had. This is, so the police department budget total, we've got deputy marshals, last year was 519, it's going to 570.
Yes.
So that's the total of what
I've
we're
not
seeing
seen,
on,
I've not seen this year, this.
yeah, she emailed
This
it
is
out.
for you guys.
Oh, I don't think so, I don't think
It's
it,
based off of the thing that you gave me.
so that is this, right?
I
Yeah.
know,
Okay, that's all I wanted to,
I don't have this sheet, that's what I'm saying. This one.
This, do you want one?
Okay, so this did say the same.
right.
His did
I
say the
said
same.
I
Okay.
don't think there's any paper in it.
I just wanted to make sure that wasn't a dip.
Yeah.
I understand a salary increase, I wanted to make sure that's what that was.
Yeah.
Sure.
Did you guys get those copies?
Okay, if we stay
Well, I've got it.
with the 3% that most everybody else has put in, that's what his would go to.
Right. So, help me out with something. So, this is roughly 3%. This is, that's a 60,000 increase, that's more than 10%. So what, I'm looking at deputy marshals.
Here, okay, let me show you right here. Right there. New hire.
Gotcha, okay.
And I'm not
gotcha.
sure what that is, so.
Gotcha.
Just waiting for the copy machine.
That was the number, I'm sitting there
Yeah.
thinking mathematically, this
Right,
is not
no,
working.
that's exactly
Well, and
right.
that's why I was
I
asking
just
about it.
found the percent difference line.
Yeah, but if you go all the way over 2 from the end,
New hire.
32.7. So what are you looking at for a new hire?
Oh, well, for that part of it, I was hoping for the housing development that we're getting out there is 434 residents and units is coming.
Mhm.
We've got approximately 130 when both of the VITAs are filled with assisted living, which is pretty well filled up, and you're getting there. The other one hasn't opened yet. It's gonna be 130 approximate residents for each one, which is gonna increase our rents quite a bit. If you take 430 homes, you got a husband and a wife, you're looking at 860 people. Now, 2 kids, you
Yeah.
gotta add that in. We're gonna be running from one end of the spectrum to the other.
Yeah.
And the VITAs.
But here's the thing with that, you're 2 years down the road.
Okay.
for that.
I want to plan on it. That's
Yeah.
why I went to July of 25 to
Yeah.
hire an officer, and that was just half the starting salary.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. But again, that's gonna be probably 2 years down the road before we see much of any big growth out there. So, as far as your other stuff, I'm seeing a pretty decent jump for Brooks. Is that because he's the assistant now? Okay, I assumed it was. And most everybody else, didn't you do like 3%?
2 and 3.
Okay.
I've got, 1, 2, 3, 5 of them at 2%, 2 of them at 3%.
And then David was like
3
5?
at 3%.
Yep.
Dave was 5, yes.
Okay.
He does a good job.
If we stay with the proposal that he gave us as far as the percentages, the chief should go from 75,380.55 to 77,650. That's 3%. We're not giving anybody.
What was
a
that
raise.
number again, please?
77,650.
And out of curiosity, Joe, Leslie is a 7% and Bob's a 5%, and I'm not nitpicking, but I'm curious to know what's the thought process behind those two.
Okay, I'm glad you asked that question because it's a really important one. We have had her underpaid since she's been here. Normally, that pay, she could go anywhere, walk out the door. When we had Nicole here, Nicole was at almost 50,000 and she went to Greenwood, and they're paying her like, I think we started out at 58.
What's her role? What does she
She's
do?
had an assistant. She
Okay,
does a lot.
okay.
She's our NCIC and IDAX coordinator. She gets everybody through the test. She lets them know when they need to do it. She fields things at the door. She receipts monies in. I'll get phone calls here at the department, and she'll distribute them to where they need to go. Usually it's me.
Didn't she head up National Night Out as well?
She did that. Plus she's.
What did you say? Nicole went to Greenwood to make.
What's that?
She went to Greenwood to make what?
Nicole did, yes.
Nicole at
How much?
58.
58.
She started out at 58. Now, the thing is, I'm trying to
I
be
mean, this is
competitive, and
still
still,
underpaid.
John, to answer your question, I'm way under what I need to be.
I'm not nitpicking.
No,
I'm just looking for
I'm trying to
background.
explain to you.
Yeah,
I'm not fighting with you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, that is the reason I asked for a 5% for her, or 7%.
right.
She's worth it, she's here on time, she works a schedule.
And she's 40 hours, she's full-time.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, and it comes out to $21.60 an hour. And I can tell you from my own experience, you can't hire a competent person to do that kind of work for that. So I don't think that's out of the range of reasonable.
I'm thinking a little bit more. If she can go anywhere. I mean, she's sticking around.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do too.
I mean, she's sticking around here to be with Joe. So
That's scary.
yeah.
And Bob is Bob Downey, right? So
Yeah.
that's the PD portion of Bob Downey catch-up.
Well, and one of the things that you've got to remember, if somebody's really looking for money, we are not going to be able to compete with Greenwood.
Right.
So in order to show it as appreciation,
Yeah.
That's a nice
because we
spot.
can never match the gap, can we bridge it a little bit?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Since you brought up Bob, I think Bob's really low in the grand scheme of things. But because of some of the conversations we've had, and I'll be honest with you, I had to call him yesterday about something I ran into, and I don't remember the lady's name that was here tonight.
Regina Latrell.
Yeah, she's had an ongoing issue, and she was raving about how well Bob did, because that whole issue she came to us last week with, it's gone.
I didn't figure she was here to please anybody.
No, she did. Because I asked her afterwards, I said, did we get your issue resolved? And she says, I can't believe how fast Bob got it done. It was, because I called him yesterday about one on Princeton that's an absolute disaster. And he said, yeah, I'm aware of that one, and I'm aware of this other one. And I've just contacted the people that bought the one on Westview, and he said, they promised me it'll be gone in 2 days, and it was.
Well, and
So-
I'm not saying John Perrin's a genius, but John Perrin's a genius. We sat down with
No.
Bob Downey 6-7 weeks ago and went through some of these things and said,
Yeah.
there's properties that are recurring problems that just don't get better. What can we do to fix those? And
Yeah.
I think he's taken that to heart and he's
He
fixed
is.
them.
Yes.
One of them was there was a house in my neighborhood where they'd done some sewer work. They cut out a chunk of the sidewalk and put a piece of plywood over it like a year and a half ago. And I mentioned that to Bob 2 weeks later. It was concrete. So, I mean, I think he's out knocking on doors
Yeah.
and he's,
Yeah.
And I don't know Bob hardly at all, so it makes it easier to make these kind of comments. But we felt he was lacking before. Now he's performing to the level that we would expect. So everybody else is holding for the most part, everybody's raises are in that 3-ish. I think he's, from what it sounds like, he's doing great, but I don't think we need to grossly accelerate his pay just because now he's knocking it out of the park.
Well, and in fairness, we talked to him about 60 days ago or 45 days ago, and he stepped it up since then. So it's a fairly recent
Yeah.
improvement.
And the other thing to keep in mind, I hate that we get hung up on percentages, okay? Let's look at reality, okay? With what Joe put in for him, it's less than $1,500 a year.
Yeah.
Okay, when you figure that amount of money on a bi-weekly basis, that's minuscule. And so if we were talking about somebody that was making $75,000, you know, that's a different situation.
So half of his pay comes from the police budget and half from planning commission.
Oh, so this is only half of it.
That's
Yes.
only half of
Okay.
his pay.
Oh. That
So
makes a-
he's,
So I'm not saying we
that
should
makes a
cut,
difference.
I'm not saying cut this.
so he's 55.
I'm saying I think this is a fair, the 5%, the way he's performing now
Okay.
is fair and adequate.
Okay.
So what's his total compensation right now?
Must be 55.
52,374.
In that light, I wonder, yeah, there has been an improvement and it's worth talking about, but it's fairly recent.
In that case, I'm okay with the 3%. Makes sense. I mean, that's what you held everybody else at, 2 to 3.
He's got Bob at 5.
He's at 5 now.
Okay.
And-
What was your reasoning behind that?
Well, I'll tell you why. I have more contact with the people out there. in
Okay.
Rutledge, and that guy has more compliments. Give you an example. Last year, we had a guy that we had trouble with, big guy, okay? We would get him in compliance, and then he would go right back to what he was doing again, only with different trash and debris in his yard. Bob went over there and talked to him, and the guy was getting irate at the fact that we were going over and trying to get him to comply. Bob went over there and he says, hey, let me talk to you for a minute and try to see what we can do to resolve this. And the guy came in and he told me, he said, if that guy had come over here and told me I had to clean that up, or he'd give me a compliance ticket, he said, for the rest of the duration, it was almost word for word verbatim, the rest of the duration that I'm here, my house is gonna look pretty trashy. And Bob's just got away with people. There's so many compliments that we get with him from the contacts that we get out there. He's very congenial, very easygoing, and he's like a chameleon. He can talk to a doctor like on a level, and he can talk to somebody else that's out here that's pretty much a simpleton and just get compliance out of it. He's good with people. He's good with what he does. He's good with the girls in the office over here. There's a lot of things that he does, and I know that he's into this zoning.
Mm-hmm.
That he's doing that, so he's making himself more of a valuable asset to New Whiteland and the community. But I get an awful lot of compliments from him, on him, without him even being around. So I think he's a very good asset to keep around here. And that's why I gave him 5%. I didn't want to go crazy, but he's worth 5%.
Yeah, to back that up,
7%.
when you talk about the inspections, I think, my understanding is he has made significant progress on
Yeah.
building inspections this year.
Yeah.
He's doing a lot more of those on his
Tim
own
was
than
very
he used
happy
to.
with him.
Yeah, so the commercial inspections, he's probably not up to on his own yet,
Right.
but the residential ones, and turns out we're gonna have a ton of them.
Yeah. So,
I,
3 or 5. I don't
Oh, I'm satisfied with the 5.
yeah, I think I am too, especially in light of
Okay.
the fact that we've maintained an overall
Okay.
percentage.
He did
And,
what
you
we
know,
asked him.
I know, and you,
So-
the only thing I'd say about percentages to me are important. One of our largest expense categories is people.
Mhm.
So percentages are very meaningful in that category.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I got a question. real quick.
Yes.
If part of his salary comes out of my budget,
Mhm.
and part of it comes out of what,
Planning commission.
what controls the difference? I mean, would they give him 5 or?
Yeah,
That's what's been proposed.
probably, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know, but, okay, let's see, next year I give him a 3, for example.
Mhm.
Would that be a 3 or whatever they thought?
Possibly. There's,
Who makes that decision, I guess?
well, we ultimately do, yes.
Okay.
You're making
I
suggestions.
got you.
Yeah, you make suggestions,
Correct.
and that's why we ask you, okay, you said David Brooks needs 7%. Explain why. And you did, okay, I'm fine with that. So that's why, you know, you're making a recommendation, we're just asking you to back it up. Yeah,
But to answer your question, I think if you recommended 10% and they recommended 2, well, we probably wouldn't do, whatever we did, we'd probably match it up. So still half would be and half from the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd figure out what the right number was overall. And, yeah.
So I did that commission, Angel told me what you were giving him, so I just input it. I
Oh,
input
you,
the total.
okay, that's your.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I knew the planning commission,
Okay.
just being the planning commission president.
okay.
And she's like.
So are we leaving the
5%,
new
and I
hire?
was like, okay, well, that
No.
total's out of there, and I know it's split 50-50, so.
Okay, I understand what you're saying about the new hire. I don't think it's gonna be as much of a problem for right now, and we're gonna have to take some stuff out. So let's nix that for now.
Okay.
Just because I think it's gonna be a longer process than what you might anticipate out there. Okay, and I may have egg on my face later, but you know what, you've worked through with a lot less.
Well, I think what's gonna happen
I know
is, by the time, let's just say 5 years down the line, I think that the maximum that we're gonna need on this department to do our coverage, and I hope I'm not too far, but I think 10
That's a
total
race
officers
that doesn't
would be
exist in nature.
what the
You
community
know, outside
Mhm.
of what we're talking about. We're
Yeah.
routinely capping 3%
Yeah, 'cause
for decades at the bank.
Fortunately, you don't have.
And I always,
Yeah, but fortunately, right now, you don't have a
When you look at
lot
the
of
dollar,
officers with a lot of tenure. So
But
you're
yeah,
not giving out 4, 5, and 6 weeks
I look
vacation,
at the
which
category, the overall
was the issue we were in before. So this isn't quite as bad, so I think we can manage
give
it.
everybody a
And if you happen to bring on a few more reserves,
everybody that way and look just at the dollars.
wonderful.
Well,
Not gonna lose any sleep over that at
and
all.
it's a-
So if you got anybody that's
But
interested,
I mean, bring it up.
I'll pay for their equipment.
If you think about it.
We'll pay for their equipment.
I know it's
I know, believe me.
good.
Yeah.
Okay, salary wise, we okay with the police department? All right, let's go
Hey,
back to
John.
their, yes, sir.
I was just talking to John about, I mean, Leslie, I still think we might need to bump her up a little bit. If she's still over 10 grand less than go anywhere else.
How long has she been with us?
Yeah, this is a year in October,
1 year?
and now this will be her second year next month. I agree with Chad, though, I'd like to get her higher if I could.
Okay,
I mean,
let-
she does, I mean, she says she'll do a lot more
Oh, she does.
at the, you know, that night out thing. She was,
Well,
Yeah.
we pretty well have a standard set up that she follows, and then I critique it and I get with her, but she spearheads it after we tweak it up. To give you an example, we bought our shirts, these shirts right here, they're not worth $69, but that's what we paid for the uniform house. And then $5 each side to get the patches put on. So what I did this summer was I ordered some wicking t-shirts from Amazon, and she made all the patches, made them identical to this, put the flag down here at the bottom of the sleeve. And those guys wore them all summer underneath their vest.
They loved it.
And they look nice. I mean, I don't know if you saw them at National Night Out, I know.
Yeah, they're nice.
And then we got some long sleeve cotton ones. Well, they're $17 as opposed to almost $80. So we saved some money there in the uniform ones, but she did every one of them. And the long sleeve ones says police on one side, new Whiteland on the other side, and they have the patches. But she does a lot of extra duties if we ask her to do them. And not only that, she cleans up. We did away with our cleaning crew because they weren't cleaning very well. And she empties all the trash. She'll get it bags. We take it out to the dumpster for her. She mops the floors.
How much are we saving by not paying the cleaning company?
Probably saving about $3 grand a year.
Okay. What is
Well,
your,
more with inflation.
what is your minimum? If you hire somebody tomorrow, what's your minimum? 48?
Yep.
Why are we not there? I mean, if we're gonna pull 32.7 out, let's start her the same way we would any other new employee. And she's even been here 2 years. So we're adding $30,060 or $3,060, not $30,000.
So make it 48?
I'm just throwing it out.
Oh, okay.
We
So when you interviewed for her, how many people did you have apply?
We had 5.
Yeah.
And, she's scored higher.
Yeah,
Just
she was heading, I was part of that interview. She was head and shoulders above everybody except David Brooks's wife.
Let me give you a little insight too on her. She was an MP and was over in Afghanistan. All right, she's got military experience. She's a veteran. Second of all, her dad retired from the Marion County Sheriff's Department. Third of all, John Layton is her uncle, who was over
She's not here on that.
he was the high sheriff in Marion County. She's got an extensive background in law enforcement. And I'll tell you what, she's got some grit. Sometimes you gotta stand up to these guys, and she does it.
Yeah.
She has no problem with that. Sometimes it's like, okay, they got the message. But what I'm saying is, she's very congenial. She's good all the way around. She does extra duties. I would not, I guarantee you, if she left and I had to find somebody else, I guarantee you, I would have to pay them more money for a lot less work than what she does. And she's good for morale. She's funny. Once in a while. But if you guys could go.
What are the thoughts?
Well, she's 40 hours a week, right? Just regular, full-time. So she's $22.47 an hour at what would be her proposed rate. 48, she's going up to $24 an hour.
It's open to suggestions.
What's the HR manager say, John?
Doctor.
I don't think that it becomes a matter of how much whenever you've got the matter of principle. You know, to me, I can guarantee that the 42,000 is way low. Okay. When I've got people starting at 48 and 50. And similar type positions.
So that's not out of the realm of. Okay.
I mean, who wants a clean?
Well, yeah, and especially if we cut out the cleaning service and that's saving $3,000. That's most of it right there.
Well, that right there was one that I'm like, well, there's $3,000.
Yeah. Are we fine with that?
Sure.
So 48,
Yes.
okay.
Okay. Go back to the budget portion. Most of this we can't change because it's perf, insurance, postage staying the same. A lot of this is staying the same. Okay.
On the new vehicle down at the bottom, what's it gonna replace?
Well, we've got 2 2015s, we've got 3 2017s. And the problem we're having right now is this electrical problems. The cameras are outdated, some of them don't even work. We've got anywhere from 80 to almost 100,000 miles on those cars. The car I got in 2017, and every time we get a new car, I let the officers have it. My car's got 81,000 miles on it, but it's 7 years, almost 8 years old.
Just as long as we've got a rotation, I mean, I'm fine with the concept, especially with the 2015s. Oh,
It is.
they need to be decommissioned.
Yeah,
Well,
but
safety is
the
the one I'm-
15s are your reserves, correct?
I'm sorry.
The 15s are reserve vehicles?
One of them is, but now with this last vehicle that I just got, I'll have another car to trade in. One's giving us so much trouble, they don't even want to drive it.
Active officer, oldest car.
Correct.
Yeah, but I mean, active officer, oldest car.
So what we do is we give the officer that's got the highest mileage the car, and then we'll take the best car that we can get out of the trade-in and use it as a reserve car. And I've got one car I can use to get a trade-in in 2020.
Well, what I'm asking is in the active fleet, is it a 2017?
Correct.
or a 2015?
Well, not in the active fleet, it's 2017s, I got 3 of those.
Okay, so we're replacing 2017s.
And I've got, yeah, we will, and then I'll take like the 2018 and put it in the reserve.
Yeah, because the reality of it is it's coming in for 2015, but the 2017 is going down. And then, like you said, highest miles is getting a new one. Okay.
Well, when we bought 2 cars this year,
Correct,
one of them was replacing a car that was totaled.
yes.
The other one, I think we pulled forward and said, we're not gonna buy another one in 25.
That was said, and that was sent back to you in an email.
It what?
I sent that back to you in an email, and Angela did too, she answered that for me.
Right.
And then I told you I needed to elaborate on it. The only reason that I wanted another car, even though we went with the idea that we wouldn't ask for another one, is because of safety reasons, high mileage, and these cars are taking a toll as far as we've kept them way too long. Usually, like, and I'm not saying we're them, but Greenwood, they'll turn over their cars every 4 years. Whiteland over here, they get them every 3 years. Now, I'm not saying that we're getting it, if our cars are mechanically sound and safe, I'm good with that. I have no problem with that. But we're at the point now, we've kept these cars so long, our 2017s are 7 years old. These cars take more abuse than the average car does. They're out running on an accident, you might be out there 45 minutes with the lights on. We'll have hot runs once in a while where we gotta drive a little faster and brake harder. There's a lot of things that enter into it that it gets costly in repairs, and none of that, but I worry about the safety of it. You know, things are gonna break. You might do something today to that car. Well, it's like any car, it's subject to breakdown at any time. You could do something like on a fast runner over a railroad track, say for example. Our guys are pretty good about being careful with the cars though. But it could loosen something up or crack something or break something, and then it doesn't show up for another year, and if you're on a hot run, something could happen. It's just a preventative thing. The cars are getting older. The electronics that's in them give us a lot of problem and grief, and it's just time to try to break as much as we can.
Can I ask a question? The 2 vehicles we got earlier this year, they were, I don't know if they were like 34 to 38 grand a piece. Why this one's 63?
I don't think that cost that car, Angela. I think the cars was at $50,000 a piece. And what happened was, with inflation, it went from $10,000 to outfit them up to 15. And I just heard Steve say that if they get a vehicle without frills and bells and whistles, that's gonna be around 15.
Well, yeah, but
No,
you're
not
at
that
you're
place.
at you're
No.
at 78 though.
Jones.
You're at 78.
Because the ones we got earlier this year were in
Probably
the
75,
30
but that's
range.
a high estimate of $60,000.
Yeah, 63,000 seems like a really high estimate just
And
for a.
the equipment on it.
No, that's you've got 63 for the vehicle and 15 for the.
63.
Yeah,
Yes.
I got my notes are for that 60.
here, right here.
I believe you. I don't know where that came from. Because I've got it down here at 60. And,
I think that's still too high,
well,
but I've not bought any lately. What did we pay for the you got Durangos, right?
we got 2 Durangos, but these last 2 that we got were Dodge Chargers. And they were 23s.
Yeah, the 2 we got in March or April, they were in the 30 range.
What are you getting now?
Okay, then that's what you're thinking of. That'd be another Charger.
Just Charger.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So
So if
that's
you're
the case.
if you're looking at another Charger, I'd say 40,000 plus the equipment.
Correct. That would be
Yeah, not. I wonder if you priced it based on a Durango, or did you
I
throw
think
the
I did
same?
it on the
Was that for
Durango.
2? Did you throw that in there thinking 2 again?
No.
No, I'm just thinking if that was the number you had. Maybe you weren't cutting in half.
That might have been what I did on the number, but the reason I say no is because I figured 15,000 to equip it, and it would have been 30,000 if it had been 2, so. I may have went with the Durango, but I'm not sure what the Durango's,
Yeah.
was for.
Have you priced anything from Fletcher lately?
No,
Okay.
once I get an okay on the car, I do.
Well, yeah, but that would, I mean, okay, here's the situation we're in. We're looking at, right now, based on preliminary numbers that Angela gave us, we have to cut around $400,000. Okay? So, me looking at $78,000, okay, that's almost 20% of it right there.
Correct.
So, you know, if it's not near that much, that's why I would like to have a better idea of, okay, here's reality. This is what John Jones or Fletcher will sell us a Dodge Charger for. We know the 15,000 is pretty darn close as far as the equipment. We just did two. But this is such a huge range from 35 to 63.
Are you looking at the records on that now? To see what they're for?
I was trying to see if I had it here, but I don't, but I could run to my office and get that.
I was gonna say, you can buy a Dodge Durango Police Interceptor from Jake Sweeney, dealership in Cincinnati for $48,000 new.
There you go.
Now, I don't know anything about the details. I just
Yeah.
Durango Police Interceptor. So
Okay, while you're there, put in Dodge Charger,
okay.
police.
Do you want me to go look real quick?
No, that's okay.
Okay.
We got an idea. But, I mean, we may have to broaden our horizons a little bit and quit worrying about what Fletcher's gonna do. You know, because Fletcher kind of hosed you last time with, well, we don't have them, we do have them, and, oh, look, we have two. You know, they're not doing us any favors necessarily. We're not getting any breaks from them. So, and if he can pull one up right there for 48,
Chargers are about the same.
okay. So at least that, you'd know you'd have an option. So, you know, instead of 63, if you say 50,
Yeah, I would say.
plus your 15.
Oh, that's 13 grand savings.
Yeah.
We got the other ones cheaper, because they were 23s, but they were brand new and they have a whole one year
Right.
warranty.
And we may run into the same thing.
Yeah.
People may have 24s laying around that, I know Fletcher's got a buttload on their lot down there. You know, you couldn't get them before. Now they got a ton of cars down there.
But the problem is with those cars, they're either white or black. Have you noticed that?
They're what?
They're either white or black.
Yeah.
Because they sell a lot of them to the Indiana State Police and also the Sheriff's Department.
Yeah.
So.
So if we
and
say
other Sheriff's Departments
50
in the area.
and 15 is 60. So
I
that's
got it
saved,
right here.
that saved 8,000.
It was 75,448 for both of them total.
So 38,000 some,
Yeah,
37 something.
plus 15
Yeah.
to, so that's 55,000.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So we're saying 50 plus 15.
I would say that's the max, with the understanding, just so you're aware, if we get down to crunch time and it's gotta go, it's gotta go.
That's probably what's gonna happen.
I mean, I'm hoping it doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we're banking on the 2 new subdivisions that are already out there that we should actually start collecting from. We asked Angela for a report on what our intake has been. In the last 2 years, we've actually taken in more in property taxes, so we might be better than we think, but the initial she had was 400 grand over what everybody was asking.
Okay.
So, you know, you might put some feelers out right now.
I'm going.
And, you know, hey, anybody got a 23 or 24 laying around you just want to get rid of? They're brand new. You don't know what's out there.
I'll find out, or have some figures to bring to you.
Okay. So we're going to drop
At 50
50
plus
and 15, yeah,
Okay.
at least as a starting point. Everything else is pretty much the same. I don't think he had much changes.
I have that we changed Leslie's to 48 and
Yes.
then Chief's to 77,650.
Yes.
Okay.
We good with that?
Where's the gas one? Are we good on gas fuel?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only used 45% so far.
We also took out the new hire, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's
Yes,
that's another 30.
47.
Yeah, but that took care of Leslie and it took care of Joe as far as, Okay, we good?
And well, last year, what was you said we saved ballpark 3,000 on cleaning because Leslie's picked that up. What was custodial services out of?
We had a lot.
I don't think we paid for custodial services at all this year. I did last year, I find
Okay.
out.
Yeah,
If it was here, but
I
it's
feel
not.
like it was $200 or $300 a month. I mean, we were paying
Yeah.
something. I want to say it was in the 200 range per month, but Leslie's been doing that.
Well, part of getting her raise last year was, she offered, she says, I'll clean it if they can give me a raise and take money out the budget. And I don't remember who I spoke with on that, making sure we can do that.
She does a better job.
mm-hmm.
She did one of the short shorts, like one of them.
More bang for our buck.
We're on TV. Okay, thank you, appreciate your time.
Well, thank you, gentlemen.
Say it was a pleasure, but it really wasn't.
Well, we just
We
have to
love
be
you, though.
honest sometimes.
Okay, now we're gonna do Plan Commission, wastewater and stormwater, which stormwater and wastewater shouldn't take much. I don't even think we have those. Bless you.
Thanks, guys.
See you, Joe. Thank you. Okay, just to start with, in looking through what you guys did as far as Plan Commission, or just overall, since you're both here, this is gonna affect everything pretty much. I think as far as your personnel, you kept everything at 3% across the board, right?
Pretty much, we ranged anywhere from 2.75 to 3.5.
Okay.
So, and we did, that was based on evaluations, like you guys asked, I had evaluations for everybody.
Okay.
We have those copies if you guys want to see those. And kind of stuck with, there was four categories right in the evaluations. And kind of stuck with the kind of mentality that we had, talking from last year where, you know, we'll call 3% base if you got anything that was, hey, you need something to work on, you know, you may have dropped a little here, when you got above expectation, you went up there. Kind of, I think it was a quarter of a percent, I think, each way. So, that's how we come up with those salaries. One thing I will say is, and I don't know if anybody else has seen it, we're talking about salaries, just for informational purposes. Whiteland did just advertise for general labor, and they are now starting out at,
58.
yeah, almost $59,000, which is $11,000. Just so that we're all aware of
Yeah.
where things are. I don't get it, but that's kind of how we come up with salaries. So, did you say, did you want to start the planning commission? Is that where you were? planning?
Well, yeah, that's next on the list, so,
Okay.
and then, I mean, you've got 3 categories, Plan Commission, wastewater, and stormwater.
Yep.
So, we'll just do all of yours, and then jump over to Dwayne's.
I know, if you guys have questions, I guess shoot them. If not, I know one of the things was, that John Correa brought up was legal services. I was kind of up in the air there because it's one of those things, like, I don't know what that's gonna be. As of so far, this year, this is actually as of today, we got the new appropriation report, so we changed it on our end, so I know what we spent. In legal services, we have spent $5,240.79, which leaves us with about 67% left out of the 16 that we budgeted for in 24. That was kind of my driving factor of why I dropped that. But John did bring up a good point. You know, I don't know what this subdivision may. I'll be honest with you, I would assume the majority of the legal side of things will be done by the end of this year, I would assume. Unless they just go, you know, really slow things down. But we can, you know, that's something that we can always raise, but I will say that with this being planning commission, it does come out of the general fund, which does affect that $400,000 that you're talking about, where some of the utilities doesn't really affect that, so.
Okay. If I can make a suggestion, since we're kind of not sure what's gonna happen, Plan Commission budget went down by $3,350. If we plug 2,000 in, you're still $1,550 down, but that gives you a little bit of cushion. Doesn't mean you got to spend it. But if we make that 12 instead of 10, we've got. I think that kind of takes care of your issue of maybe running short. So
make that 12?
yeah, the legal services,
Okay.
12,000 instead of 10. I mean, there's not much we can do with that. You already cut it by $1,500, so.
Yeah, and I will say, you know, there were a few increases, obviously, insurance, the group insurance, health insurance. And then the other thing is with salary, you know, all that stuff, the way it's paid, utilities was basically paying for Bob's cell phone that he has, so that residents can contact him and things like that. And if you notice, I have taken that out of sanitation, and I've added more money into this to cover that. It just, to me, makes more sense that where he's being paid out of, what we're expecting him to do his work out of,
Yeah.
will be the one paying for that, and not
Okay.
utilities. So.
Okay.
And if our budget bulldog over here has already asked these questions, I tried keeping up on your emails. I'm amazed. I think it's great that there's some decreases, but like as far as the salaries between recording secretary and office manager, how are we decreasing that? Is that just?
I don't know
So,
what happened there because
Yeah, I don't know how
none of
that.
the salaries went down.
The only
None of
thing,
them.
I was gonna say, none of the salaries are down. The only thing I can think of
You
is,
know what? I know what it is. We had put in there last year for what we thought you guys were gonna approve for longevity, and it changed to where even people at year one could get something, but then the people that have been here a longer time, they got something, but maybe not as much as we thought. So I think that's why.
Okay.
yeah, I'll be honest with you, I have no idea how that happened.
All right.
So,
Yeah. But they're not making less salary.
Well, that-
at all.
Okay.
I didn't think anybody's pay went down, so.
No.
and why we're in this, because she is part of, gets paid out of PC. If you guys want, I'll explain a little bit of some of the things Cindy and I have talked about. She is actually, retired, but Perf has offered a new program now. Once you hit basically your number, and I think you have to hit 60 or something like 62, something like that, you can now pull your perf and still work full time. So she's basically retired in perf size, still working full time, but I don't know that she's gonna be here probably much more than about 2 years. I think it's kind of where I think she's feeling this out.
Well,
She's
Because if that happens, we no longer have to pay perf.
exactly.
That's what I was gonna
That's
ask,
another
at
thing.
11%.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that was one thing is that we won't pay perf on her salary anymore. So that'll be some savings as well.
But if we hire someone new, we'll be paying per on them.
We would, because yes, they would be under that thing, but since she's
Yeah, that would
drawing
be-
perf, she won't be contributing to.
That would be a wash because that person is not gonna come in at Cindy's salary.
Right.
So then you're gonna
Okay.
drop back down, then you're at your, what's the perf, 10 or 11?
It's 11.
11.
Right.
Two totally different things.
Okay.
You are going to go into the black when Cindy leaves. Okay. But we win with that deal.
And I was in the conversations with her, you know, and again, she's still, you know, thinking what she's planning on doing. You know, she's talked with the possibility, and obviously your guys' permission, you know, there's a possibility when she decides that she's gonna retire, maybe she takes over that part-time role that we currently have and things like that, you know, to stick around and do some things. I mean, she's got a lot of knowledge for the years that she's been here. So, but just kind of want to give you those insights that we've had conversations on with her.
Did you say in one of the emails that the new hire that you have in mind would be to bring somebody in beside her to start to train?
Yeah, and that's, you know, that's, a lot of that is gonna be play by ear, because again, if she's planning on being here 2 years, I don't think it's gonna take 2 years to train somebody to do what she's doing. I mean, there's a lot of different hit or miss things.
So what you'd be saying then is you'd like to have that in the budget in case she says in September or August, I'm going.
Yes.
But if she doesn't, then we wouldn't fill that position.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what my thought process is what I would like to do is hopefully she'll give me, and I think she will, but you know, 6 months to a year kind of notice, let's get somebody, just because of the different scenarios that she may run into. You know, you can't train somebody in 2 weeks to do.
Even if that, like, she stays on for part-time, there's a little bit she can.
Exactly. So a lot of that will be the driving force, and that was the reason what the new hire is. And I know in that email it explained that, I know last year you all had approved the new hire for the, we'll call that the DPW garage itself, starting in July. You wanted us to wait. Wayne and I had more conversation kind of about it, and we felt that, you know, okay, we'll slow down on things, you know, because I mean, I would say kind of like Joe said, you know, there's that possibility in, you know, the next 5 years that we have with this development, with this new development, that, you know, there's a possibility maybe we have to hire another full-time person to cover some other things. That'll just be, you know, time will tell on that, but that's years out, so.
Well, in light of that, I'm okay with that new hire being in the budget with the understanding that if Cindy stays, we just don't hire.
Right,
Yeah.
And unless something goes crazy haywire down there that you have to have another person,
Right.
they can almost be interchangeable. And as long as-
Obviously, you guys will have to approve, you know, if we go to do that anyway, but
Yeah.
that was my thinking
Sure.
That's
as
good.
well,
Yeah.
so.
Okay. So we don't do anything with wastewater and stormwater, do we?
So we usually talk about it if you
Okay.
guys.
Yeah, 'cause there's nothing
It
here.
does not have anything to do with what she has to get to the state, I don't believe, correct?
Right.
You know, there's no deadlines like the other stuff is.
Yeah, because we don't have anything here for those.
Oh, they don't have anything for.
I
It
couldn't.
should be in the blue packet at the end.
No.
Very end.
Yeah. I'm not saying I didn't bypass it.
I would guess it was email because I know, I think
It's
you had
the
questions.
last 3 pages.
I've got sewer and storm at the very
do?
last section. Yeah.
Oh, this one that says utility budget? Never mind.
Yes,
Thank you.
it's not on the 4-1 because the DLC doesn't have anything
Okay.
to do with it.
I got a question. Where's the car in here? Or the truck? You said there's a truck in here?
So it would be 454, just new equipment, I believe, hold on. I lied to you, and, no, that's, well, see, we should have had them all on different pages. Yeah. Sorry, it is 454, but I'm trying to find the 454, there it is. I was looking at store one time, so 454. Be honest, it was.
Blank on mine.
Bad problem. Last year,
Oh,
Second page,
this
third
other
one.
page, yeah. Okay, I got it. Okay, so are we replacing or wishing or?
so mainly what I think, it would end up replacing a vehicle, probably either like Brett's, which is the oldest, it's a 350 2005. It would replace it. Again, it's not something that has to be done, just on there.
Okay, but if we go back to what we were discussing earlier with the fire department, is that a quad cab,
So,
Brett's truck?
So what our original thoughts were when I brought that is we were going to look at trading in that Dodge with making a purchase. Basically, we weren't going to be getting rid of a vehicle that wasn't being used. My thinking would have been is, let's think to say this right. One of the Chevy the 2019 Chevy 1500s that we have, roughly about, I think, at 25,000 miles, I think is probably the most we have on any of them, is a extended cab. It's four doors, it opens from the outside. That would basically go to them, and I just wouldn't trade a vehicle in with.
So you'd keep the 1500
So
as
I'd
your
keep the
spare.
1500 as our spare. The Chevy would go to the fire department, and then we could make that purchase for like I said, the original thought would be is we'd have 50 plus trading something.
Yeah, I like that idea because honestly, they're going to put more wear and tear on a vehicle than a fire marshal driving from Dollar General to Vita, and an occasional run where they might have to take it out. Theirs is going to be used for an industrial. So what are you thinking? Another 1500 or?
No,
So it'd probably be at least a 250 or a 3/4 ton with
a 2500.
We started to switch. The last two vehicles we bought have been that with the utility bed, and it just leaps and bounds as far as being
Actually usable.
We have the tools basically there on site. We aren't having to make as many trips back and forth to the shop because we don't have anything. We've been trying to, with those people that have those trucks, kind of almost have a set of specific tools that are going in those trucks, where some of the regular cabs or the extended cabs, you just don't have the room still. So that was kind of the thought as far as the new truck went, and then if we did this stuff with the fire department.
And you guys have no outfitting at all, no whoop whoops and ding dangs or?
no.
Jiggle, jiggles.
Now, we do have wig wags, just no wee moves.
And what I will say is what we usually do is we purchase that ourselves. We install all that ourselves.
Like
We don't
strobes
have to have, we don't have to have all the bells and whistles like the emergency vehicles have. I just need a switch that turns them on and off.
Yep.
So we mount them, Dwayne's the wire and guru with it. So, even though I had to do the last one,
And they do get seen, which was the important thing is,
Oh, they have to be seen.
we do, but you're probably talking maybe $1,500 at the most, maybe. For that, I think.
And a sticker.
if we do that, we kind of kill two birds with one stone. Honestly, it gets the fire department a good usable vehicle, because if it's what'd you say?
It's 2019, like I said, I
With
think
25,000
the most
miles.
we've got 4 of them,
Yeah,
and they got 25,000 miles.
and an extended cab is plenty. We don't need a quad cab, because like John said, if you can roll a piece of equipment with 2 people in it, that works. But it gives the fire marshal room to put whatever tools and gear behind his seat, not next to his seat.
So do we need to buy a camper shell and
No, I don't think we would need to, because there shouldn't be.
like whatever gear he wants in back or whatever?
Ought to fit in the back seat.
I think
As a
that's,
fire
yeah, I
marshal.
think if it's gonna be primarily a fire marshal vehicle, but it's gonna roll to a scene with people. Okay, we better have enough room on all this other nice fancy equipment that we have to be able to take the tools and the gear. That, okay, if you need to throw a boot and turnout gear in the back, that's fine, it's gonna get wet anyway. But I think it should be adequate for what the needs are.
We can always work together with them too, doesn't have, obviously I'm not gonna go buy a new truck on January 1.
Right.
Whenever it comes up, then that's just, we can hash out those details.
And again, like I asked Angela earlier, what's left over in your budget this year? Because I'm seeing a lot of those utility trucks on lots places that, somebody's like, hey, we got this, we need to move it. What do we have now? And
I know from my standpoint, I don't know that it's gonna be feasible for.
I'm
Okay.
gonna say from utilities, it'd be hard just because we made that purchase of the camera.
Okay.
That
Just
was-
asking.
Whose it was pretty well the majority of the reserves for that time.
Okay, that's fine, just asking.
But
How
we
is
got
that, by the
closer to the
way?
end of the year.
How is that, by the way?
So we've been using them off and on, and then this week we started hitting it pretty hard, as far as trying to go through. If it wasn't the budget hearing, I actually could show you on here, but I did the storm sewer on Monday with it, and I got a picture of 2 raccoons just looking at me.
Can you do that again?
I know that I probably shouldn't be saying this as a guy, but it was fairly cute, to be quite honest.
I mean,
Can,
that would be
hey,
pretty neat.
can you turn around and face that way and do that again?
Right. But yeah, it was fairly interesting. And they didn't even get wet from the jet machine. You had to run the jet machine in there to clean up pipe, and they didn't even get wet.
Well, okay, where were 5 vehicles going yesterday morning with the jet machine? I saw 4 of you all head out at the same time. Is that what you were working on?
Different locations.
Okay,
So there was 2 of us headed to this one location and 3 headed to different ones.
okay.
2 were headed to Denny's and 2 were headed to.
Bob Evans.
Oh, you guys are welcome.
Did lab supplies increase that much?
So,
I mean, we've got almost 40% left right now.
so what I tell you again, so your sheets, because of when they're done, shows it at halfway. Current as of today, I have 11% left.
Okay,
We spent $5,320.58.
okay,
That'll leave me basically enough, hopefully enough to make a final order that'll get us through the end of the year and a little bit into next year.
okay,
And some of that too is increase, but our scale that we use in the lab, they keep harping on me, telling me that it's out of date. If parts go wrong in it, that they can't replace them, we'll have to replace them, so they keep harping on me. So I wanna make sure I'm prepared for that a
Okay.
little bit as well. If it ever goes out, I'm not just gonna buy one because they tell me, but it's fairly easy to get one fairly quick, so.
well, and looking through this whole thing, are we gonna do something new with I&I?
So now we're having the camera, before on we did all those manhole inspections. We got done with doing a lot of that and doing repairs on the ones and twos. Now we're looking at interior piping, and there's that possibility that we have some lining and things like that. I'll tell you, Chad asked how it went. I was in the line behind Tracy Plaza.
386.
I got 2 voids
Thank
in the
you.
pipe that basically the whole top half of the pipe is gone, and it's mud.
So is that gonna be the repair of that as well?
So
This
there's
just
2
says
things.
review.
So there's 2 things here. 312 for the engineering.
Mm-hmm,
That's going to be for basically if we end up having to have like a lighting type of a project, and we have to have engineer design specs, all that stuff. That's kind of what that's for.
okay,
And then if you go down to the actual, I've got a line item for iodine maintenance expense for the other 50,000. That's the 50,000 there is actually for actual repairs. Is what it's.
okay, so this 100,000 there could actually be pretty overinflated.
Between the 2.
Yeah, between the 2.
Yeah, I would say specifically probably on the engineering side.
Okay,
I'm probably under on some of the lining, but I would say over on the engineering side.
okay.
And these are part of the numbers that we need to be concerned about decreasing.
For the general fund.
Yeah, it won't, when we cut here, it's not gonna help that 400,000.
Okay.
And 100,000 of that 400,000, actually 111,000 is capital expenses, which is technically okay to cut into reserves for capital expenses.
Okay. So even the air conditioning units that you have in there, we don't have to worry about?
For,
I mean, that's 100 and,
Line 361.
yeah, that's a lot of money. You've got,
so basically, we currently usually have, we put in 95,000 in there
Yeah.
this year. We have approximately 35.83% left. I estimated the AC units, there's 2 AC units that we'll call run for the town hall, which is the utility office, so I try to make sure that those are the things that I pay for
Okay.
out of the utilities. At 10,000 a piece, so that's 20,000 of that.
Okay.
115, so really it didn't really increase the budget
No.
any in that line item other than for those units.
Okay.
And again, that was those. We've had a few little issues here and there this year out of those units. And talking with the HVAC guy, those are the original units from when this building was built, not just when the town took it over. Which is what he's 20, right around 20
Yeah, it's
years
been a
old.
while.
So, you know, basically they're just getting to their end of their useful life. You know, it's one of those things that we don't, you know, if you don't want us to replace them on a preventive maintenance thing, you know, we can keep it in there. If we have issues, then,
That's,
you know, go at it that way. as
yeah,
well.
that's
So,
kind of what I'm thinking. I mean, if it's not gonna affect the budget, we can leave it there with the understanding we may not use it. But in all honesty, in looking at this, even with putting the truck in there and all this other, it sounds like much, but since you like percentages, it's only a 16.2% increase as opposed to some of the others we've looked at tonight.
right. And,
So
and
it's
I
not
will say
huge.
that, based off of revenue, I'm sorry, I apologize, I don't have it right in front of me. Based on estimates from what we were planning on bringing in this year, we're not spending any more money, budgeting any more money than what we're planning on taking in this year.
Okay.
And that's what I try to do. I try not to spend any more money than I take in years, right?
And all these things, the air conditioner, the truck, all those things, we'll talk about them on a transactional basis before you do it.
Yes,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. So we can shop,
Right.
for sure.
Or we can say, you know, geez, let's
Yeah.
just fix the thing. Or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Anything else for Matt?
Can I point out one other thing too, because
No.
it was a huge increase? In 397, it's 150%. I just want to give you an explanation on it. It's for locates.
It's for what?
It locate fees, so like 811, we've got to pay, I think, 90 cents. Every time somebody calls in, I gotta pay 90 cents.
Wow.
So, but that was increased because we were not,
It's 397,
what is it?
397.
397. Talking with Melissa, I don't think we were originally taking that out of the right appropriation when we were paying the bill.
That is correct.
So it looks like we basically weren't spending any money on that.
Oh,
Are we getting these things for free? Or like, there's a couple, well, it's coming from somewhere else, so we
Okay.
weren't really able to track it. So that's why I looked to see what we spent over the last year or two, and that's how I come up with that number. That's why you see 150% increase. It's like
okay.
that.
Well, if there's a line item to increase by 150%, that one's a good
At
one.
least it's a little.
Right. The only other thing was, I know there was a question about the capital improvement spreadsheet. Did anybody get a chance? I know I sent it.
You know, I glanced at it, but I really haven't a chance to look at it. I'll end up sitting down with all
No,
this
yeah,
stuff
that's,
again.
that's fine.
Yeah.
So it's basically, ever since I started, we go through and all our capital stuff, trucks, just different items, I'll be adding the camera to this list so that in 20, I'll put it as a 20-year item. Rotate out so that we have that money. Right now, appropriation 6204 and account 6204, I believe, there's almost $400,000 in there right now. That's basically saved up for that type of stuff, for purposes in the future, so.
Okay.
Then I know still over here, no questions on it.
I don't think so. Trying to find.
I know I put in there for a rental on the street sweeper. I don't know if anybody's made any notices. We actually did a rental on that sweeper unit for this year.
How did you like it? I mean, I could tell where you'd been around,
So I haven't drove the majority of the streets yet just because we've been on the camera unit and the vac unit and things like that. Mike's actually been the one running it. I believe I talked to him this afternoon. He has gotten everything from Tracy Road south other than the whole length of Sawmill.
Okay.
But he also has had break day. Like I said, I have not been in majority of them. I've kind of glanced, so I don't quite know yet.
Okay. How long are you keeping it?
So I have it for a week.
How much is the rental for a week?
I think it was right around $5,300.
Okay, and what were we paying to have it done?
So the quote that I got to have it done one time was almost $15,000.
Okay.
And here's the other thing, we did have quotes and a contract, pretty well signed with, when we couldn't get them to respond.
Could never get it.
Really?
They gave me I was basically gonna bring you guys a 3-year contract and with a company and.
How much is one of those? I mean, could we budget for like next few years and?
Talking $400,000.
And we had one,
Right.
I thought we
and
did.
it didn't get, I mean, honestly, at $5,300, to me, that's cheap if we rent it twice a year.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
Budgeted plan moving forward. What we are gonna try to look at doing is hitting it for the one time a year. We've got a broom and a gutter broom for our skid steer. What our plan is, we're gonna hit it one time a year with the machine, try to do maybe some of the hot spots or bad spots that we see pop up with that,
Okay.
and see how it looks. Okay, hey, do we need to do it twice a year?
Yeah.
You know, if it ends up that we're having to do too much with the skid steer, then maybe we do go ahead and do it twice.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if it's $10,000 a year, it would take us 40 years to pay for one. You know,
And that's
for what
not
we would
including
use.
maintenance on it either.
Right. So, yeah, and when we did finally get rid of ours, they basically wanted to give us nothing for it.
And we
The
sold
boat
on
anchor.
gov deals for
We sold on
$15,000.
those
Yeah.
deals, but if you remember right, because we dropped almost 60 grand on repairing that thing, and it never worked right.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
We did a
it
terrible job
old?
of repairing it, apparently.
We paid
That
people
was-
to do it.
I'll tell you, it was before.
Was it old?
Yeah,
I mean,
It was
that's,
92 back.
92.
yeah. So, okay. Thank you. You can stay if you want, if you don't have to. Properties, parks, and MVH.
So I will say properties and parks, both are affect the general fund.
Okay.
Which one would you rather have on first?
Well, I'm looking at parks, so,
That's what I wrote.
okay.
Parks is a simple one, it's kind of straightforward. A deduct of 24% from the total budget. A lot of that was part of, we budgeted some stuff for the Ruhr Memorial, Proctor Park, and various things like that. We're not gonna have to budget for the coming year, so that's why specifically they're in line item 443 is the big deduct.
Okay. Okay. Oh, okay, I'm looking at, it's showing a 18% increase though.
That's properties, the gray is properties and the brown is parks.
Oh, you mean this that says, never mind.
Parks properties.
Thank you.
I was wondering why I couldn't find the properties.
Me too. Thank you. I'm glad I'm not the
I was in
only
the same
one.
boat.
Sorry,
Nah, you're fine.
it just all fit on the same page.
Okay, so parks is pretty much a non-issue. It's, yeah, it's 25% decrease. And you've offset the properties pretty much by that.
Now, let's talk about 316 in the properties.
Yeah, contractual services.
So what that is for is, obviously we have normal stuff, it's carpet cleaning, the annual inspections. But we also have what's budgeted in there is for the furnace and AC replacement. Now,
For the PD.
for the PD, that is correct. So this whole building has 5 different units. 2 of them are in Suite A, 2 of them are in Sweet Bean, and the 5th one is right here. So, now, when I budgeted this, I didn't realize that we were gonna need to reduce the budget. Might I make a recommendation that we keep Matt's in there for his sanitary stuff and replace the 2 in Suite A for right now? Remove this one out and stagger and budget for the 2 in the PD for 2026. And then this one the following year. That'll reduce this down $20,000.
Okay, 20,000 when you need 400,000. Thanks for the offer, but it's a drop in the bucket.
Agreed.
So, personal feeling, do what we've always done. If we leave it there and we determine halfway through, you know what, these things are working fine for now. We got through the winter. We look at year 2 and year 1, that's 60 grand right there that we don't spend.
Mm-hmm.
But if we get in a bind and we have to have it, we have it to spend. We can replace those units. I don't have a problem with showing it on paper as long as we don't just get to the end of the year and say, woohoo, let's go have a party.
Knock on wood, I mean, any
How's
problems
that go
of
again, John?
Not major
Can you make
issues.
that particular sound again?
just maintenance stuff.
Good.
The issue that and I thought about replacing them individually one at a time, but then you start running into, okay, you do this one this year for this price, next year it may be, an additional $3,000 or $4,000 where you can buy them both, get a better price, things like that, let alone the fact that specifically the PDs are in the same stinking room, that if you're in there replacing one, you might as well replace the other, because the likelihood of having to connect something here or there is gonna be a freaking nightmare.
And one's probably gonna come out and get the other one out.
Yes.
Yeah,
Just
well,
go down.
and we may get halfway through this coming year and things go so well that, that plan makes sense. Okay, let's go ahead and replace these 2 because we didn't spend this other. Because I'm also looking at these parking blocks for the rear memorial at 20 grand. What are we doing?
Well, no. What line item are you looking at?
361.
361.
15,000.
Is only 15,000. That stayed the same as last year.
Okay.
That 316 is the increase of $20,000.
Yeah, okay, I got you. All right. That's just a personal opinion. If we want to cut it, I think one of the things that we found in the past is we have very good people that if it doesn't have to be spent, it doesn't get spent. I know that's always been your concern with looking at the budget is, whoa, we're way up here, but then when you get to the end of the year, it's like, oh wait, we're way down here. And I think that's a testament to the people we have. So the way things are right now, I'm just afraid of cutting ourselves too short if we don't have to. So,
Well, we don't have to cut it out, but I'm with the mindset, you expect this, I'm kind of frugal when it comes to AC and you run it till it stops running and then you replace it, and maybe you're 2 or 3 days and it's an uncomfortable temperature and people have to go work somewhere else. But I don't know that I'd proactively, if it's working, I'm not sure why we'd replace it.
Yeah.
But again, it makes sense to have it in the budget because they might stop working.
Yeah.
And that's why I said a minute ago, these are all, on a transactional basis, we'll look at all this before you spend it.
exactly.
So you may come in and say it'll cost $2,000 to fix it, it'll cost $10,000 to replace it, and we'll decide.
Decide which makes more sense, absolutely. Anything else on parks and properties? I don't think there's any changes there.
No changes.
I don't think so.
Okay.
And MBH, we don't have any control over at all, do we?
It's part of the general budget.
Yeah, but I know that's always been one that we just kind of said, oh, that's nice.
The big thing is that on the MVH, I'm only seeing a $13,000 increase.
I'm not even seeing the MBH, so.
So you feel like that's a
It's
win?
one that's got the M and the
Oh,
B.
Well, I'm feeling like that's a win, but my question
What name
is, what's making up the 13,000?
Insurance.
Is there any huge,
Insurance is $6,000.
Yeah.
then that's the answer,
That's
because
most of it.
that's what we passed.
Traffic control.
That was one question I had on parks and properties. Employee group insurance. I know it's only $400, but I don't think I've ever seen insurance go down.
That was the one that I had questions that Angela, you sent us, and told us that it was changing and dropping down to 9,100 as opposed to 95. So those numbers, when it comes to the group insurance, PERF, Social Security, I don't really have much control over on how those get set, because there's a specific formula that Angela and Missy use to calculate those. So really what happens is, I'll do my budget, I'll send it in, they'll fill out the information, and that's
Melissa and I sat down for several hours going over all the her Social Security and employee group insurance, and we feel like our numbers are accurate.
Okay.
Even with cushion, considering that in August it'll go up.
I was gonna say, I know when we got the bump up in July for the employee, we weren't able to have to add into it because we built so much of a cushion, and I think, I know Melissa and I had a conversation, like, I understand why we have this cushion here for this, but like, it'd be nice to get a little bit closer to that number, not having that huge cushion that we had.
Right, and I think we put the biggest cushion in my part of the budget, that way we can just transfer it to whoever might end up needing it. For those.
Looking at the MVH, go to the bottom line, the green, and you're gonna see 88.5% left. That should be an easy to understand, because we're getting into the salt and sand, and we haven't gotten that stuff yet.
You're getting in a time of the year that, for vehicle maintenance and things like that, snow plows, things like that, all the hydraulics go like crazy.
That's gonna go right away.
And I haven't transferred the CCG match. Every year I'm supposed to transfer, which is line 431. I'm supposed to transfer that into a different place to show, like, I have to have a paper trail that shows that we made that match. And
It's just
that
not
has
done on
not
here.
happened yet when this was done in a year.
Okay.
And then also Dwayne and I went over in very much detail today about the MVH budget, and his budget for this year is completely fundable without dipping into his reserves.
We are estimating to bring in 328,000 into MVH, and my budget's sitting at what,
212.
Yeah, and
310, 313, somewhere right around in there.
he has reserves still.
Yes.
Good.
What were those two numbers again?
Two numbers. So the estimated revenue income is 328,000. And what my proposed budget is 313, somewhere right around in there.
What was our income last year?
300. Approximately 300.
We got reserves.
Okay.
And what, I can tell you what I've got in reserve actually, because this is, said Angela and I went through in detail, because it's very, very concerning to me, because up until this point, I did not know. But we have sitting in cash reserves right now for MVH, $548,562. So we're not eating into our reserves. In fact, we're banking a little bit more, which is fantastic, because you guys all know some of the projects that are upcoming that, everything that works with the Tracy Road, the roundabout, just things like that we're gonna have to jump on here very quick.
Okay. Very good. All right, you guys are done. Thank
So
you.
no changes to MVH.
Nope.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, guys.
He called us
And-
gentlemen.
I was gonna say, and we finished 5 minutes early.
Well, we're not.
And I even made you guys run over on my side of it, so kudos to Dwayne.
Yeah, really. Okay, let's do the.
Oh, wait a second.
What?
Everybody.
No, I'm just concerned about that recording, because nobody knows how to stop it, so.
Oh, okay.
Find out if that's all right with you guys.
We'll hurry then.
Yeah,
For
really.
your benefit.
Okay, Angelo, what are you gonna tell us about yours?
The admin budget, so, the salaries are in accordance with the salary chart that you have.
Okay.
And the group insurance per social security, like I said, we went over with Melissa on that. And I know I'm reducing the line 181, the employee group insurance, but we had an excessively high amount there last year. I think the only person who takes insurance out of my budget is Missy.
Okay.
So, we have cushion there, like I said, to help if someone else needs some when we get the mid-year increase. Most of my stuff we kept the same.
Yeah, your biggest increase is solid waste. And that's just
Yes.
because we have more homes.
Right, and
But-
we
And the
did the
revenue, that's true.
calculation there, and that's one reason I provided, if you look on the revenue history, I think John Purdy asked about this one time, and said, so these revenues for trash and recycling removal increase as our expenses increase. And the idea is that kind of cancels each other out, so we have to cover more homes, because we got more homes built, and then also there's a per home price increase.
So there's an increase in homes, but there's also an increase in revenues from those homes. that
Yes.
offsets it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
so each of those homes will, when they pay their bills, they will pay that, so, and then.
Are you saying that that washes with the increase in homes, the increase there, that,
It should, that's what should happen. I did work in a little bit of cushion,
okay,
but because we have homes being built, and we don't know like how many more are gonna be done, and then they're gonna
Right.
start paying.
okay.
But even if we go over, it ought to be because somebody's paying us
Yeah.
a monthly
Exactly.
pay.
Yeah.
What'd you say again?
It'll
I heard go over, but I
It'll
didn't get the rest.
Even if it goes over throughout the year, it'll be because there's additional houses paying us additional revenue. So, yeah, it ought to
Okay.
wash. Yeah.
Right.
Hey, would you send this to me in an Excel format, please? Or did you already?
I haven't, that was a surprise, I just made it today, I put it together in
Okay.
an hour.
Yeah, just send me the Excel if you would, please. That way I can play with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
So are there any, oh, and then I added the line, 398, because, and I added a note there, that's for the Access Johnson County, and that was approved at the March 1st, 2023 meeting, that we were gonna add a line.
Yep.
I had, not added a line last year for this year, but we did pay that. So I wanted to make sure I had, I think I might have paid it out of the 316, the contractual, but, or it was either contractual or community services. No, I didn't, I just added community services. It was paid, but this year we're adding a special line just for that. So that is what that is, and then I didn't know if you had any.
Is that how much we, decided on?
That's what the invoice is. that we
2,200.
pay. It's, yeah, 'cause they invoice us how much it is.
Okay.
Any questions?
I don't think so. I mean, yours is pretty self-explanatory.
Like I said, most of it stayed the same. So, I mean, in legal services, we haven't used as much, but I just kept it the same because you just never.
With the stuff going on now,
I mean,
we don't know.
you never know when we need to leave for something else,
So, quick question that I have, and this is to everybody. With the cuts and the changes that we made, have we, and the expenditures that we could hold off on if we're in trouble, have we gotten the 400 grand?
No, and really, we only needed to get about 300 grand.
Did we get our 300 grand?
No.
No.
Probably not, but
As
Go ahead.
usual, what's gonna happen is we don't spend everything that we budget for.
yeah.
So is there a margin of error that we build in to the
Yes.
budget?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because-
So we're within the margin of error is what I'm
Right.
asking.
Yes.
Well, it's significant, and one of the things I asked Angela to give, and I asked it last year too, I think we're up to 5 years now, is total income, total expenditure, and then as long as the end of the year fund balances go up, then we haven't spent in a deficit way. If they stay the same or go up, in each one of those 4 or 5 years, or whatever's on that spreadsheet now, we have not been in a deficit overall.
Okay, well,
And that's
you see,
why
you
you're-
have to remember, even though I work with budgets and I'm in control of budgets, I don't get the gestalt.
But see, this is a different budget. I work with budget all the time, but you know, you write a budget and then you plan to stick to it. This one, you budget way more than what you plan to spend, and then like the AC, you know, we budgeted 60, 50 grand.
Yeah.
60 grand for AC, we may not spend $1 of that if they all keep running.
Well, and I will say that I think it comes down to, or I should say, I think there was a time that the department heads that we had didn't fully understand that. Not that they were doing anything particularly wrong, but didn't fully understand that and was spending their budget clear up to the last day.
That's nickel, yeah.
And, you know,
Well, let me
specifically him and I, we don't
Yeah.
want to operate that way.
well let me explain that to you, because I've been here longer than all of you, and the way things used to be, Lassiter time, okay? If you had $50,000 in your budget, by the end of December, you might be buying a blue zillion napkins, because if you didn't spend that 50,000, well, then you didn't need it. The state would say you didn't need it. You don't give it back. You lose it next year. And so people were buying widgets, just, okay, because we don't know that we won't get cut next year. The state, and I don't usually say a lot of nice things about what our state government does, but when they finally used their heads and said, okay, we're gonna let you keep, was it 10%, 15% of your budget in rainy day fund if you don't spend it. Okay, then it got to buy, okay, we don't have to throw money away on garbage. We can save it, we can bank it, we can put it back, because, I mean, if push comes to shove, John, what do we have in rainy day fund that
Like
we could,
300,000.
yeah, okay, so if push comes to shove, we could fall back on that and still be fine if we had to buy everything that's in the budget.
But you also know how much I just loathe going into rainy day because it becomes,
Exactly.
it becomes a wet blanket, a safety net.
Yeah, it's a
and
piggy bank.
It's slush fund.
Yeah.
Slush money.
I would like to point out that if you look at the revenue history, one, that our interest increased dramatically this year. We had an extra over $85,000 in interest compared to what we had been getting in years past. And so that helps with that offsetting the $300,000 that we are dipping into reserves. Well, we got so much extra in interest. And then, we also have the money market, which that's not even accounted for here, and I don't know how that works into everything, but that's sitting.
Yeah. Well, and since we're still on the record, at some point, I would like us to take a look at what Lee had talked about. We still have all that revenue put in accounts, and, you know, there's some things that we could do for our residents with some of that. It's their money. And if they can benefit, whether it's sidewalks, trails, things like that.
Well, so let me touch on that a little bit, and that's where that SS4A grant application that we just submitted, we're waiting on a response back. I don't know when the deadline is for that. But that's the type of stuff that is going to identify some of the issues, specifically safety issues throughout the town that need addressed. Sidewalks, ADA ramps, crosswalks, things like that. We're already addressing the school zone signage, which we finally just got final delivery on that yesterday.
Awesome.
But once we start identifying that, now it's easy to say that identify it. Well, I can go out there and identify everything right now, but in order to get funding on a lot of this stuff, you've got to have it listed out, an action plan, to get any type of additional funding for it all. So that's, you know, I 100% agree with you, but we kind of need to hold off just a smidge till we see where we are.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Well, and we saw an email earlier this week or last week that scared the crap out of me. So, I don't remember what it was. Was it wastewater? At a $2 million improvement? And the comment was it can go state revolving fund. Well, if we have the cash, why would we do that? So, I mean, there's things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And I realize that's down the line. Like I said, we're on, so I won't say what I did. I thought, wow, that's large. But then I realized you're not saying this is an immediate need. This is on the horizon. Yeah, okay. But again, why would we borrow the money if we've got the money sitting in the bank?
Yeah. Very good. Anything else?
The one thing we discussed last year, a pay matrix, establishing some pay scales. I don't remember where we left that.
I think we decided not to do that.
Right, that was
Yeah.
in the March or April meeting, we had I think we had a special meeting just on that topic, and we decided to go on a year-by-year basis, I thought,
Yeah.
and then we adopted the longevity,
Yes,
so.
I remember the longevity, but I couldn't remember.
Well, I think that became part of the pay matrix issue, is that if you were mapping out the pay long-term, and then you add in the longevity bonuses, that it kind of confused the issue, whereas we can better control the 2.7 to 3.2% that you guys went with this year. That we had more control without a matrix than with it. I think that
There was a lot of
Well,
deficiencies.
I know you had brought two up, was that, by having the matrix, because I know at least in Martinsburg, we had a lot of employees that have been there an extended amount of time, and it almost felt like it punished the people that.
For being here a long time. Yeah.
At least is what we had presented. It's-
well, especially with capping.
Yes.
To say you top out
Right.
and now we're
Thank
going
you
to
for
pay
30
you the
years.
same 55 grand for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't keep up with COLA.
Yeah. Well, one last thing I would like to say, and then we'll get out of here, is one of the things that we have harped on for years and years up here is trying to get department heads to do exactly what you guys did when you did your salaries. Is take the amount that you have, do proper evaluations, and I won't say things for you, but I just about guarantee you, if we said, okay, why did you give Dale this raise? You could pull out a piece of paper and say, here.
They're in our folder.
Okay, that's what needs to be done. And so, for myself, and I think these guys, thank you for doing what we asked. That justifies what we're able to do for people. So, anyone else?
And relay the message to the guys too.
Yes,
They're good.
yes. So,
Don't inflate their heads right at the end of the meeting. Their wives will hate you.
well, and until after the October meeting, none of this is official. So please don't go tell everybody you're getting this raise, that raise.
What I've already told everybody, hey.
Okay.
Because I'm like, do you know what we're getting? No,
Until it's-
October,
yeah.
I said,
Until it's October.
before we close, do you want me to give an update on the record with what happened today with?
Yes, please, please do. I'm sorry. No, go ahead. They need to know.
You don't know about it,
I
so
don't remember writing notes about it.
somebody,
Let him talk.
our skate computer was compromised, somebody hacked into it, yesterday. Didn't know it until today. Kind of restate what I said. Had some glitches on SCADA today that I don't think, now after talking with Corey and them, I don't think it had anything to do with this person getting into it. Just kind of a coincidence, but that's kind of what brought light the situation. SCADA computer, the monitor is in our lab, which is where Dale was at when yesterday he had seen basically some, cursors and things moving around on the screen, which isn't out of the norm because the employees are really Sean from Maxim, which is our integrator that we use for all that stuff. We'll go in, he'll do updates. He always lets me know before he does it and things like that. I probably don't do the greatest telling everybody, hey, if you see this, but they know that it goes on, so he really didn't think anything of it. But when we started having the glitches today, he said, hey, could it be because of the update they did yesterday? I'm like, what are you talking about? So I immediately called Sean from Max, and they weren't in there. My next phone call was right to Corey, who does our IT and IT security and stuff. They logged right in. They found that somebody accessed it through TeamViewer, which is the software that Sean uses or Maxim uses to do remote access. So his account got compromised, which caused somebody to be able to get into ours. It was isolated just to that SCADA computer. It doesn't look like they messed with anything programming wise, because there's a whole big old back thing other than what you see when you look at it. There's a whole schematic basically for it. Nobody messed with anything on that end. Talking with Corey, they fixed it to where that won't happen again. We deleted TeamViewer off of the computer even before talking with Sean, because I don't want, if somebody's compromised him, I don't want him in there. So we deleted that. He talked with Sean. They're giving him his own login or credentials to use their remote access, which then allows them to track. They have to okay whenever somebody goes in, it has to go through and it has to be okay, so that they know that if somebody tries to get in and they either have to prove it or deny it, they know who's actually getting in and doing it at the time. No information was taken. There's nothing on there. No financial information, no accounts, nothing like that. It's strictly does nothing but monitors the wastewater plant.
And who did you say all got affected? Or got?
Sean has other customers that they basically are looking into, and things like that, just because of his TeamViewer account. So, I'm sure there was other people affected from it. So talking with Corey, what he thinks what it was is somebody got into it not knowing what they really got into. They were just getting into the computer, figured it was probably just a personal computer. They opened up Google, went search basically Amazon, tried to get into Amazon account, then they went to PayPal. He was saying a lot of times what happens is when somebody steals your credit card information, they don't want to purchase anything using their computer because it can be tracked back to them. So they hack into other people's computers. They'll make purchases from those computers so that it doesn't come back to them. He feels that's what it was. They were in it for 48 seconds is what they were in the system. They're going to continue to monitor. They put a couple extra pieces of software on it to help monitor that right now. Sean has done things that he could do until he actually gets the remote access in that he could do. He really couldn't check a whole bunch out on SCADA, but everything seems to be running fine. He will actually be somebody down in person tomorrow, just to kind of double check things. But that's where we're at.
Does Maxim use TeamViewer to look in any of our other systems, or just that one?
So Maxim has nothing. The only thing that they have access to is that computer.
And there's nothing sensitive on it anyway.
Yeah, nothing sensitive on it anyways. And like I said, from what I gather is he will not be using TeamViewer on ours anymore. Or him and I have made that clear that your access has to go through our IT people. He's fine with it. It actually sounds like he's probably going to be switching out from TeamViewer and going with.
He's got a lot of phone calls to make, doesn't he?
So, something that actually wish I'd have known it actually saved us some money on our budget. So I use Splashtop Business as a paid remote access that we pay a yearly fee for, to be able to remote into SCADA so that we have issues. I can go in without actually going to the shop. I can look and see what's going on. I can make changes that way. That will be going away as well. Talking with Corey, since it's a paid one, it's a very secure, it's two-factor authentication, but it's a product, we already pay for a product basically like that for Corey, so I can get rid of that. I think it's like $1,100 a year or something, but we'll save that. And we'll have it to where they monitor it as well, even though it may make me mad when I have to ask for access. But
Okay.
it saves us. I will tell you, my blood pressure when it happened went really high, but it could have been much worse.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Any questions? Great. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. We are adjourned. Don't move yet.
What?
Don't move.
Why not?
We're still on TV.
Okay, you're adjourned.